Look at her in all of her glory. It's clearly dead, so why am I holding on to it? This is the only philodendron that I have left in my collection. My plant collection is absolutely thriving. They are loving the growing season, and on the whole, my collection has never looked better. So in today's video, I want to show you some really cool plants and exciting updates, and one plant that is unfortunately struggling, but we'll get to that one later. Do let me know if there are any exciting updates in your collection. I hope you will enjoy this video, and without further ado, let's get started. The first plant on my list is gonna be the Philodendron esmeraldense. Now, fun fact, this is the only philodendron that I have left in my collection, which is crazy. I didn't even realize that before actually starting to film this video. I used to have a lot more philodendrons. At one point, I think I had around 15 philodendrons, and it is crazy that I'm down to only one philodendron, especially considering that I started my whole plant journey with philodendrons. But unfortunately, I had a lot of struggles with a lot of philodendrons, mainly thrips. If you've been on my channel, y'all know that thrips are my kryptonite and that I really had a hard time getting rid of thrips. And unfortunately, philodendrons are just so susceptible to thrips and honestly all sorts of pests, but my main culprit were thrips. So I definitely downsized my philodendron collection throughout the years, and now I'm down to only one philodendron, and it is this one, which is kind of crazy. This is a philodendron that I absolutely neglect. Back in my mom's house, this used to live in my bedroom, and I would neglect this thing to no end. I constantly forgot to water it, the moss pole was constantly dry, and I was keeping it just in front of a north-facing window. So it was not living its best life. But surprisingly, it was growing, albeit very, very, very slowly. This is probably the slowest growing plant in my collection, but I have been recently blessed with some new leaves, one of them being this gorgeous, beautiful, large leaf. And compared to the previous leaf, which is this one, it actually sized up beautifully. Now, these can obviously get even bigger. I think in nature they can reach about big leaf size, which would be insane. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to achieve that, but just seeing some sort of upsize in the leaves is already making me super, super happy. And then we also have a new leaf on this vine because I do have two vines planted in this pot. And I am growing this plant on a moss pole, although the moss pole is very dehydrated at the moment. And currently, I only have this one and one other plant on a moss pole, and we will get to that other plant later in the video. And the reason why I downsized my moss pole collection is because I just got really tired of the maintenance that comes with moss poles. Now, I obviously can't argue the results you get with moss poles. They're fabulous. All of my plants on moss poles were growing so well, but I just wasn't able to keep up with the maintenance, the constant chop and extending. And that's why I don't mind keeping this plant on a moss pole, because I have never had to actually extend this plant. The internodal spacing of this plant is super tight. And that's why, although this plant has a lot of leaves, and although I had this plant on a moss pole for quite a long time, it still hasn't outgrown it. And I absolutely love plants like this because it means less maintenance and less work for me. And on the whole, this is a super easy plant. I didn't really have any pest pressure on this plant, maybe like the odd thrip here or there, but on the whole, it's a super resilient plant. It doesn't mind drying out. It does suffer from EFN just like a lot of other philodendrons, but not nearly as badly as things like the gloriosum or the splendid or the melanochrysum. So you don't really see any of that burning on the leaves, which is fabulous. And other than that, it's a very, very easygoing plant. It's just a very slow grower. Now, granted, this could also be due to the conditions that I'm giving it. Currently, in my apartment, it's living next to my TV, very far away from the window. If I had to estimate, I would say it's 8 feet away from a north-facing window. So obviously, not a lot of light at all, but I'm still able to get leaves that are decently sized. So I would say that is pretty good, and I am pretty happy with that, especially considering the fact that I neglect this plant so much. I'm just gagged that I'm down to like one philodendron, but I am glad that it's this one because it is just such a showstopper in my collection. I look at it every single day and I'm just like, wow, you look stunning. However, 2026 is gonna be the year that I bring back some of my philodendrons into my collection. I really miss some of my philodendrons, so I wanna get back into the philodendron game. I feel like a lot of people are kind of dipping their toes back into philodendrons. They definitely had their peak during like the COVID times, and now they're kind of in a decline, but I feel like they're kind of making a comeback. So I'm definitely here for it, and now that I have a lot more knowledge, and now that I have my thrips situation under control, knock on wood, I think I will be able to grow some beautiful anthuriums, not anthuriums, philodendrons, just like the philodendron esmeraldense. Next up, we're gonna do a quick little update on a plant that we up-potted recently, and it is gonna be my Maranta silver band. I did feature this in a recent little chatty repot video where we were repotting it into a bigger semi-hydro vessel, but I just wanted to show you how amazingly this plant took to the transition. I mean, look at her. She is just such a gorgeous, bushy, full-on 360 diva, and I just love this plant. This is probably my favorite Maranta in my collection, and it's probably also in the top 10 plants of my entire collection because it's just so striking, so beautiful. I absolutely love the leaves, the markings, the silveriness. Mwah! It's chef's kiss. And now that I have it in a semi-hydro setup, Marantas are super low key. Now, this was a huge victim of the thrips infestation. Thrips were constantly attacking this plant, and I had a really hard time getting rid of them. However, I did a massive treatment with systemic pesticides about 2 months ago, and ever since then, I haven't seen a single thrip, which thank God, because I cannot deal with those fuckers anymore. So I'm thankful they're gone. I hope they will never return. And now I actually get to enjoy my plants. Plants like the Maranta silver band that were usually giving me a headache because of the pests are now just carefree, easy plants that I absolutely love. And I mean, how can you not love this? Like, look at her. She is gorgeous. So I just wanted to give you a quick little update on her and show you how amazingly she took to the transition. This is the Maranta silver band. Now we have to talk about the comeback queen herself. This is my Monstera Thai constellation. Now, if you are a returning viewer, you will know that I had a pretty big specimen of this plant, but I had to chop it up because it was just getting way too big. And this is another plant that unfortunately was suffering with thrips because Monsteras, just like philodendrons, are thrips magnets. So I decided to chop the plant up. I took lots of cuttings, and now I have my baby back. And I actually potted her into semi-hydro. And let's look at the root situation. Oh my God. Okay, she is definitely rooted in there. She probably needs a up pot. I can also see some rotten roots, but honestly, I'm not that concerned about that. Usually in semi-hydro setups, once the roots hit the reservoir, they do tend to sometimes rot, but I don't find that alarming at all. As long as there is a substantial, healthy root system within the actual pot, the plant should be happy. And the reason why I know that this plant is happy and healthy is because she is pushing out a new leaf. And it is always so freaking exciting whenever the Monstera Thai constellation decides to give me a new leaf, because these leaves are beautiful. Now, these are the 2 leaves that it had once I took the cuttings. So this one is a new leaf, this one is a new leaf, and now it is working on the 3rd new leaf ever since transitioning it into pawn, which lets me know that she is clearly happy. Now, I am keeping this plant in the corner of my living room, supported by a grow light from above, which is why the leaves are all facing towards the ceiling and why she has this crazy wingspan. Now, this is not my favorite look. In an ideal world, I would love if all of these leaves could actually be facing forwards, but I just don't have the space or the setup for that to happen. So I'm just working with what I got, and clearly the plant isn't complaining. This is such a special plant. It will always stay in my collection to some sort of capacity because it was a gift from a dear friend of mine, and it was also one of like my first rare, expensive houseplants. So this plant definitely has a very special place in my heart. But I'm really excited that nowadays you can pick these up for like $20, $30 at a big box store because they are so widely available. And honestly, I think a Monstera Thai constellation is just such a classic nowadays. And if you have the space for one, I highly recommend you get it because on the whole, these are super easy. I wish I had more space for mine just so I could grow it to be a huge, humongous beast. But unfortunately, I am working with what I got, but still I get to enjoy these beautiful leaves of the Monstera Thai constellation. Next up, we're going to be talking about a Hoya, and it's a Hoya that I never feature on my channel, and that is the Hoya India. Now, this was actually a free gift with my order from Platypus. I got it as a tiny little cutting, and I'm not gonna lie, upon receiving this plant, I wasn't that excited about it because it's really nothing special. The leaves are just plain green. They are kind of like jelly-like. The underside does have sort of a kind of velvety suede texture, and then the top is super smooth. I was like, oh, this is cute, nothing special, but I potted it up into pawn, and I was like, let's just see how she does. And y'all, I'm gagged. But this has become probably one of my favorite Hoyas in my collection because it's just growing so freaking well. And I love the way it looks now that it's just a full bushy plant. It just looks like a collection of jelly beans. I don't know, but these leaves just are so jelly-like, and I love it. However, it desperately needs some attention because, as you can see, it has these long-ass vines that are desperate for something to climb on. So I do need to retrellis this plant. I actually have to retrellis and repot a lot of my Hoyas, so definitely expect a Hoya chores video because clearly we need to work on it. But I freaking love this Hoya. It's so easy. I mean, most Hoyas are easy, but this one just takes the cake for being the probably easiest Hoya in my collection, especially considering I'm growing it in semi-hydro. It's such a breeze. I just look at the monitor when it's empty, I fill its water reservoir, and I don't do anything other than that. And I can actually see some very healthy roots at the bottom. This plant could probably also use a repot, so maybe that's something that we're going to be doing in that Hoya chores video as well. But yeah, this is just a plant that initially I wasn't that excited about, but now that it's grown so well, I freaking love it, and I cannot imagine not having it in my collection. And I just love the contrast of this dark, simple pot with these dark, simple green leaves. I don't know, I think the whole combo just works really, really well for me, but I definitely need to give her a little bit more TLC. But clearly, she doesn't mind, so I definitely love this plant. And it's one that I hope will also bloom for me sometime in the future. I haven't seen any peduncles on it yet, but fingers crossed. This is the Hoya India. The next plant I have been growing for well over a year, and I still haven't figured this plant out. I don't know what the hell this plant wants from me, what it loves, what it dislikes. I have no idea. But miraculously, she is looking so good right now. And that is my Ficus triangularis outer variegated. Man, oh man, this is such a diva plant. Every single year during the winter time, this thing goes into dormancy and drops all of its leaves. And every single year, I think to myself, okay, this is the year that I'm just gonna have to toss this plant. It's clearly dead, so why am I holding on to it? And then, once spring comes, it surprises me by actually pushing out some growth. And this is probably the first year that it has looked so good. Now granted, this does look a little bit pitiful, so obviously this is not like the best, the most beautiful, the biggest specimen, but it's the best that this plant has looked for me in my care. So I'm happy with this. This is not a plant that I notice any significant growth on. I would say that this is about the size that it was when I first got it. So it hasn't sized up massively. However, I just love the leaves on this plant. They are so cute, so dainty, and that variegation is my favorite type of variegation. It has that kind of green, minty variegation with the darker tones of green and then that outer just elbowy, creamy color. Oh, it's to die for. I just wish it was a little bit easier. And just like other ficuses, it's definitely a spider mite magnet. So I do have to stay on top of showering and checking this plant. But if it's gonna look this good, I really don't mind putting in the extra work for this plant. It's just that it doesn't usually look this good, but now that it's looking this good, I definitely want to feature it and actually show it on my channel because I usually never talk about this plant because it looks usually horrible. Now, I am growing this thing in semi-hydro, and I don't know if this is like the correct way to grow this plant. Again, I don't know what this plant likes or dislikes, so I have no idea. But my thought process was that ficuses love lots of water and they don't like drying out. And this ficus in particular is extremely thin-leaved. And usually thin-leaf plants are even more sensitive to being underwatered. So I put it into semi-hydro and so far, so good. Would it grow better in soil? I don't know. I'm currently keeping this in my south-facing window in my bedroom, and something I do know about this plant is that they love light. Just like other ficuses, these absolutely love lots and lots and lots of light. So I am keeping it in my south-facing window that does get a decent amount of sunlight, and it seems to be happy. Would it prefer more light? Yeah, probably, but as of right now, that's all I can give it, so that's all she's gonna get, and I don't think she needs a repot. I can only see like one little pitiful root, and I don't even know if this root is healthy or not, to be honest. But I'm just gonna keep her in this setup. As long as she is happy, as long as she is giving me some foliage, I'm good. I'm freaking good. And I mean, it looks just so cute. This is the Ficus triangularis outer variegated. We have finally arrived at the struggle station with the medical mystery that is the Alocasia watsoniana. I just cannot figure this plant out, which is so unfortunate considering it's such a beautiful plant. I absolutely love the Alocasia watsoniana, and it is one of the few alocasias I still have left in my collection, which is once again kind of crazy considering the fact that I used to have around 10 alocasias and now I'm down to 3. I have my Frydek over there in the corner, I have my Platinum, and both of those are doing amazing. And I've grown lots of other types of alocasias very, very successfully, so I'm kind of bamboozled by the fact that I am not able to grow this thing. And I'm doing all the right steps, right? I'm keeping it in pond, semi-hydro setup, bed. I have it under Barina T5 grow lights. I also tried putting it in my north-facing window, but it did not like that. I feel like that was a little bit too much sun because that north-facing window does actually receive some direct sunlight now that we are in summer. So from 6 p.m. to around 8:30, that window does get some direct sun. Hated that. And I just don't know what to do with this plant. It's constantly a member of the One Leaf Club, and the second that a new leaf is just trying to emerge, the old one just starts yellowing and dying off. And that is exactly what's happening once again. As you can see, there's just a little nubbin of a growth point coming out, and this leaf is already like, nope, I'm out of here. And also the stem of the plant is so freaking long because this has been happening for quite a long time. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this alocasia. I think I'm gonna give it a couple more months. See if it's gonna figure itself out. Maybe I'll do a repot. Maybe I'll try chopping it up. And then if in a couple of months, if by fall I don't manage to get like a pretty nice looking leaf that actually stays on this plant, I'm probably gonna get rid of it because as much as I love it, there are so many other cool, amazing alocasias that I could be growing instead of this one. And I have been actually thinking about some of the alocasias that I've gotten rid of, mainly my dragon scales. I absolutely loved my dragon scales and I grew it to such a huge, beautiful size. So I would much rather try to grow a plant like that than grow a plant like this. However, all that being said, this is probably the only plant in my collection currently that is actively struggling and not doing good. So 1 out of 60 plants not doing good is a huge victory for me. I feel like on the whole, my plant collection has never looked better. I was very scared of how my plants would react to the move to this apartment and to the conditions in this apartment, but they are all thriving. Well, except this one. Unfortunately. This is the Alocasia watsoniana. And obviously, I don't want to end on a negative note, so we're going to end on a bang instead. And that is going to be my Monstera Burley Marks Flame. And look at her. Oh my god, she is gorgeous. She is beautiful. I received this plant as a tiny little planty. It had leaves about ye big. And now look at her in all of her glory. And the newest leaf has 4 fenestrations. And it's finally starting to get that really iconic, droopy, flamey look. Oh my god, this plant gives me so much serotonin and dopamine. And once again, similar to the Thai constellation, I'm so happy that these are finally widely available and cheap. So if you have been looking at getting a Burley Marks Flame, I highly recommend it because this plant is so freaking easy. And contrary to popular belief, it is actually not that slow of a grower. Sure, it doesn't grow as quickly as like a regular Monstera does, but it's not that slow. For example, the Esmeraldense is significantly slower than this one. And I mean, the growth of it is just so freaking satisfying. It's so good. And this is the other plant in my collection that I have on a moss pole. And similar to the Esmeraldense, the reason why I don't mind keeping this plant on a moss pole is because the internodal spacing is so tight. So I haven't yet had to extend this plant or this pole, and it still has quite a long way to go before it reaches the top of the pole. Now, once it does reach the top, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I'm probably just gonna take like a top cutting and restart it on a new pole because I'm just not the biggest fan of stacking poles. It gets kind of unsightly and it takes up a lot of space, and also it gets very, very unstable. So I really like plants that I can just keep on a single moss pole for like a long time. And this has been growing on this moss pole ever since I got this plant, and clearly she is happy and sizing up. And the reason why I have it on a moss pole is because I do want to see these leaves mature to at least somewhat of a decent size. I don't expect these to ever get like huge or massive, or for me to be able to grow a Burle Marx flame with like 8-9 fannies. I don't think that's gonna happen, but already achieving this 4 fenestrations in my conditions, it's kind of amazing. This plant used to live on my Vitio shelf, but with the latest leaf, it absolutely outgrew that shelf and it was hitting the top of the grow light. So I actually recently moved it in front of my south-facing window. And similar to the Thai constellation, because it was getting light from above, the leaves were facing upwards. But now that I have it in front of that window, I'm really hoping that all of these leaves are gonna start drooping and facing forwards, because that's the look that I want for this plant. But either way, I'm just so excited to have this plant in my collection. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite plants right now, and I just wanted to share this exciting new leaf with y'all and show you how well this plant is doing. Anyway, those are gonna be all of the updates that I wanted to share with you today. I definitely have a lot more updates and a lot more exciting things happening in my collection, so if you would like to see a part 2, do let me know. If you made it to the end of this video, I do want to say thank you. Leave me a little planty emoji in the comments, and once again, do let me know what are some exciting or not so exciting updates in your collection. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a fabulous day. Goodbye!